Yeah, I love to talk, film, discuss, critique.
Yes, we did. What is happening, everybody? Welcome back to Blood Splatter Chatter. We are live. It is Thursday night at 8 Central Standard Time, or Daylight Time, son of a bitch, in the midst of Horror Fest 2024. And we are capping off our tribute to Wes Craven tonight with one of my favorite films of all time, one of the greatest horror films ever, in my humble opinion, Scream from 1996. We got some fun things planned ahead of time. I'm excited about the things that you guys don't know that we are doing. But what up? We got the regular crew with us tonight, man. Welcome back, Mr. Stu the Slayer.
What up, man? So happy to be here and talk about like you said, this classic of the genre, and especially for all us old men, this one hits especially hard. This was like the horror movie for our generation. So
yeah,
so happy to be here with you fellas and to dice it up.
I couldn't agree more. I think I said it last week we were talking about it, but all like the Friday the 13th and the Freddy movies, and even Chucky, and I think even like Candyman. I was so small. I was so young when they came out that I can't really remember the first time I saw them. But this is the one that it's like, like I was old enough to get it and appreciate like what it was doing with the meta-ness and everything. So yeah, this one for me, this one's pretty special. But Mr. Fable, the man that I'm dying once we get into the review part to hear how the rewatch was for you. Because out of all I've never heard you say like, fuck Scream, it sucks or anything. I just know vaguely that you're not like a big fan of the franchise. You haven't seen most of them, right?
Yeah, I've never seen any of them past the first one. But yeah, happy to be back. Horror Fest continues. Been gone for a little while. Definitely excited to pick this one apart because the movies you just named, those are my nostalgia movies. Those are the ones. This one I was a little older for. So right. I don't quite have the nostalgia that I assume the rest of the guys on the panel have, but still going to be fun to talk about this one.
Hell yeah. And then Link, man, when we talked Friday the 13th, back on Friday the 13th, I was a little bit surprised that when we picked our favorite horror franchises of all time, that you picked Scream. So I didn't quite know that about you, but I was happy to hear it. But what up, brother? Welcome back.
What's up? Glad to be here. Yeah, Scream, I was just thinking about it. I kind of saw like I was 8 going on 8 when Scream came out, so I was still a kid. But I was like a preteen teenager by the I watched them as they come out. Of course, in the 90s, we watched everything. But I was like a teenager, preteen by the time the third one came out. So this is kind of like a horror franchise I grew up with as it grew, but I did kind of see like Jason, Freddy, Ghostface all around like the same time, but
right.
I feel like this is a franchise I kind of grew up with and saw them as they were coming out. Yeah, I love them. Wes Craven did this Wes Craven, right? Yeah. He did this thing. It was just really impressive rewatchings. I've not seen the first one in a minute.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah, it held up quite well.
Hell yeah. And what up to the fellas in the chat? Chill, I see you. Stu, I see you as well. So I'm making it seem like I've got all these fucking tricks up my sleeve. I really don't. But I do have one that's going to be pretty annoying. This is a question for all you guys in the chat and all you guys on the panel. And Stu, I'm going to start with you. Can you guess what is the first question that I want to ask you for the Scream show?
I really don't know. I'm stumped.
What's your favorite scary movie? What is your favorite? You can name a handful, but you got to pick one. What is your all-time favorite Sky? I know.
All-time.
Fable Link, you guys are lucky. You got a minute here to figure it out. You guys in the chat too. What is your favorite scary movie?
So when you were talking show prep, I thought we were talking the decade of the 90s. Oh, okay. All right.
This is part of the surprises.
I think all time. Just a quick answer, man. Silence of the Lambs, probably for sure.
Hell yeah. I love it, man. I love it. One that we would debate whether or not it was even a horror movie. That's cool.
Yes, for sure.
For
Yeah.
me, I
But
mean,
a
if you're
scary
going to
movie
consider
now.
it a horror movie, I would say it's easily up there in my top few of the 90s and one of my favorites of all time, too. Definitely. But a solid choice, Fable, my brother. We just did our top 10 of the 80s not long ago, and I have a feeling yours would probably be from that decade. So, what's your favorite scary movie?
Well, I just want to say it's funny that Stu picked Silence of the Lambs because I was watching another horror thing that my buddy's a part of, and they were like doing a battle, kind of like a live battle, and saying this movie versus this movie, and people would just pick. And Silence of the Lambs beat Alien, man. I was like, wow,
I could
that's
totally,
amazing.
I can see
So
it. I could
I was
totally
just
see
like,
it.
holy crap. So yeah, man, I think it's definitely a horror movie.
Right.
Oh shit. You know, I would have told you Evil Dead. I would have said that, you know, for so many years of my life. But going back this last horror fest, man, watching Hellraiser, I gotta say Hellraiser, man. Hellraiser 1 is just fucking phenomenal. I love
Hell
that
yeah.
so much. Yeah.
Hell yeah. I just got my new NECA, little pinhead. I don't have any,
Ooh,
there's not a
shit.
whole lot of Hellraiser swag out there. You're not running across a lot of, figures and toys and t-shirts and that. So I had to pick that up. What up, Evan? Appreciate you being in here, my brother. Halloween or It Follows for Evan. I assume we're talking Rob Zombie. Of course we're talking Rob Zombie Halloween. Now I assume we're talking John Carpenter, but I have no idea. Sal's going with a classic. He's going with Halloween as well. He also says Scream. Oh, he's just talking about the first and the best Scream. I would agree with that. Definitely the best Scream. Link, I think I know what yours is. I'm just now realizing I know what yours is, and now I'm disappointed because I wanted to hear something I didn't know. Yeah, but tell the folks that don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very prestigious movie, prestigious creative team, great cast. I took a very tried and true tried genre at the time and reinvented it. So I always tip my hat off to that. 28 Days Later.
Hell yeah, I respect the shit out of that. That's another banger, of course. Sal saying a more recent one would be Hereditary, which you're in luck, my brother. Sunday, I'm going to be getting together at 5 Central Daylight Time with Peter and Eric, and we're going to be talking about Hereditary. They've never seen it, and I'm super excited about that. For years and years, I had always said Halloween, and Scream would definitely be up there. Like Scream is definitely, it's one of my favorite. I don't know. Scream is like special to me in a way that like even Halloween isn't. But I said this when we covered the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that after watching that again, I was like, this is my new favorite scary movie. I watch it less than the other ones, but there's something about like the nightmare quality of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and like it just screams horror movie. Like it is fucking scary. Like Leatherface freaks me out. Everything about the movie is scary, and just like the sound design, the look of the movie. Like I'm not the first to say it, but it feels like it was made by crazy people. Like not just like crazy people in the movie, like a madman running around with a fucking camera and a chainsaw made that movie. It's just like, I don't know, there's something so horror about it. Chill saying my favorite scary movie was Chucky. Hell yeah. But I have to say Candyman because not enough people say it enough. They don't want to say it. You say it 2 more times and you're fucked. Not enough people say it enough. And plus, we need more that look like me. I feel you, brother. Now I know what you look like, and it's fucking scary. The shit. I had no idea you had a hook.
Damn, bro.
Beats coming out of it.
Yeah, got nails and shit all over the
place. Chill saying Sidney Prescott, my number 4 favorite final girl. Honestly, and we'll get into it after like rewatching this one. She might be my number 1 favorite. Like it's so easy to say Lori because she's the first, but in so many ways, like Sydney's like just way more of a badass. Like, you know, she's so much more capable. She doesn't have to be the virgin to survive and be the final girl, which is, you know, that's part of what this film is doing, turning the tropes on their head, if you will. But all right, I got a quiz coming up. I got a super special segment coming up in just a moment. But the reason why I hit you guys up earlier and said I wanted to talk about 90s horror in general is because we did the top 10 of the 80s. We did the 2000s. We're doing the 2010s. And I've already done one on the 70s. And I just feel if we can squeeze in a little 90s talk, it would kind of round out the horror fest quite nicely. So I think just in general, here's what I was interested, Steph. After we talked 2000s, we were both like, oh, we can both agree it's way better than the 90s. And I was like, oh, yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And then I put together a list for the 90s and I'm like, fuck, man, I don't know. Like, there might be more good movies from the 2000s, but a huge part of it is that nostalgia. Like, these are the movies I grew up on more than the 2000s. Like, hot diggity damn, there's some fucking bangers like all throughout here, but it's a different era. It's like there's more famous faces, more bigger budgets, less gore, but the less gore led to more suspense and better writing and better characters. So it's like it's different. And it turned a lot of 80s horror fans off because it was different. But what do you think just in general, Stu? Like I sent you guys a list. I don't know if you guys looked into it. Like what are like if you got to pick a favorite from the 90s or just your thoughts in general, what you think of the 90s? You guys in the chat too. Let us know. Yeah, chill. It's coming. Just a little bit.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I there's with like the 90s with me, there's like the movies that I kind of saw, as a teen and really, loved and enjoyed. And then there's like a lot of those like critically acclaimed ones that I came back later on and discovered. But I remember loving the Blair Witch Project when that dropped. That was a big one for me. I know, some of the guys are lukewarm on the found footage films, and I get that. I totally understand that.
That one's
Tales
a little bit special, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. Absolutely. Tales from the Hood was a big one for me growing up as well.
Me too, dude.
Yeah, dude. And then, like I said, Silence of the Lambs was legendary. Coming back and really discovering Interview with the Vampire and The Ring were two that I kind of fell asleep on and came back and really just fell in love with. So those are just a couple out of that list that.
Well, I'll just touch on Interview with the Vampire. That's one like I grew up loving that movie. And then I think just like years and years of like, I don't know, there's like this negativity floating around in the horror community, I feel like, about that movie, and like it's soft and it's too pretty for horror. And we did it on PCP a couple months ago, the YouTube channel, not the drug for people not familiar. And I was blown away by just how badass it is and how visceral it is. And like, it's a horror movie. It's not as cute as I think a lot of people kind of remember it as.
No, absolutely.
It's fucking awesome.
Completely agree.
What about you, Mr. Fable? What's your thoughts on the 90s and some favorites? You guys in the chat too. Oh yeah, we got a little going on down here. Hell yes, 7. I'd call it a horror movie, close enough for me. Fucking Leprechaun. I won't spoil anything, but you might be seeing that reviewed at some point, not too distant future. And Ring, man, open. Yeah, this
same.
When we covered a couple months ago, that was my first time seeing the original.
Yeah, same. Awesome. It definitely opened up that world to me.
But Fable, brother.
Yeah, I gotta echo what both of you guys said about the 90s horror being better written, maybe just a little different, a little more elevated, like we like to say around here. Right. Stuff like Jacob's Ladder, which we rediscovered and I thought was freaking phenomenal. Interview with a Vampire. I mean, I loved that movie coming up. That movie was fantastic. The Sixth Sense, was freaking phenomenal. I'm just looking at the list here, going real quick. Tales from the Hood, The Faculty, which
The Faculty.
I discovered for the first time now because of Steph. When we did that movie.
Another one. That one was written by Kevin Williamson, who wrote Scream.
Yeah, and of course The Ring. Yes, The Ring. Definitely put me into the J horror, and got me down that rabbit hole. The 90s has some solid movies. Demon Knight. From Dusk Till Dawn.
Fuck yeah. This is what I'm saying. Like, you start bringing off some of these, and it's like, oh, this decade's top 10 for me could compete with almost any decade. You get further out of there, maybe not, but the top 10 are so good.
Maybe not as gory and as, crazy as the 80s stuff is, but
transgressive.
Right. Not as transgressive, but definitely more mental, a little more thought into them and maybe need to be revisited by a lot of us because there's some cool stuff there.
Right.
Absolutely.
Fucking, that's one thing that's cool about Dylan's Horror Fest list. He's got like 5 90s movies on it. And then I looked at what we're doing. We're Scream and Candyman. Like it's pretty well-rounded Horror Fest all the way around, but it's a lot of 90s in it. But hell yeah, man, we're getting some love for Event Horizon.
Oh yeah, good call. Hell yeah.
Chill Talk and
so
The
freaky.
Faculty, which we mentioned. Yeah. Seconding Event Horizon, still dope. What about you, Mr. Missing Link? Where you at on it, brother?
You guys all named some great bangers. A little earlier 90s, one that kind of always got me was the People Under the Stairs.
Yeah.
I always thought that was like
I haven't
really
seen that since I was a kid. But
Isn't
Really?
that another
Same.
Craven banger too?
yeah, and that's one that Jordan Peele is remaking. I'm not positive if he's just producing it or if he's actually doing the remake. I feel like it would be something he would produce because he does mostly original shit. But there's a new one coming out.
It could be a good thing. I still haven't said, damn it, I gotta rewatch. I have to watch the new Candyman. I still haven't done that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say even though it's I guess it's worth to mention, it wasn't necessarily scary, but it was always cool to me. I think it was like Return of the Living Dead 3 or 4, where the chick is like she's like putting shit. Yeah, it was pretty gnarly.
That's a great one. I hadn't seen that until Fable. You kept on talking it up when we were doing Zombie Fest last year. I checked it out, loved it.
Okay, I'm glad. I was gonna say I haven't seen it in a minute, but I remember really being fascinated with that. I was like, oh shit,
Had
she's
a great poster, great box art. That one.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of for you video game heads out there, Blood Rain. I feel like they might have like took the look from that chick and applied it to Blood Rain.
I'm trying to think if I'm thinking of the right fucking game. That's not the
Like a
Dark Souls
vampire.
one.
She like hunted Nazis.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I'm thinking of the Dark Souls blood game.
Ooh.
It's so bad. I can't think of what it is, but it was super badass. Just for shits and giggles, before we get into our little quiz section, I made a really quick list. So if I do a top 10, this isn't necessarily going to be it, but I just started listing off like kind of what my top 10 would be. Starting at number 1, Scream, the It miniseries, Bride of Chucky, fucking Funny Games from 1997, an Austrian film. Incredible. From Dusk Till Dawn, Silence of the Lambs, Candyman, Scream 2, Child's Play 2, fucking Tales from the Hood, The Faculty we mentioned, Halloween H2O, also written by Kevin Williamson, The Sixth Sense, Interview, Misery, Demon Knight, Wes Craven's New Nightmares, Tremor, The Blair Witch Project, Jacob's fucking Ladder, The Craft. I know what you did last summer. Like there's a lot. There's a lot of like just huge movies. Bram Stoker's Dracula and Arachnophobia to round it out. That's I don't know. It makes me think like if I were to rank the decades, I don't know where the 90s would, you know what I mean? It might be a little bit higher up than I would have previously imagined. I don't know why I said that like I was about to say previously on X-Men, but I did. but I did. But all right, you guys that are here in the chat right now, you're the lucky ones because you get to play along with us in our fun little game. As soon as I can get my little Mousy McMouserston to work. This is what we're gonna do. All right. So when we did Friday the 13th, it's like, something to celebrate that franchise. We went through and I showed everybody a picture of a camp counselor, and you guys had to tell me how they died. And this franchise and this movie, it's not about the kills. And it's more about the suspense. So what this is about is the writing. And it's one of the most quotable movies ever. So I'm going to show you guys a part of a quote, and then it's going to pause, and you guys have to finish the line for me. So does everyone understand the rules? Is everyone ready to play? Fuck! I don't have a pen. Dun, dun,
What's
dun.
Is this just for Scream, not that, or the entire franchise?
Just Scream, baby. Just
Okay.
Scream. I kept it nice and simple for us. Nice and simple. All right, this is one of the old scrap piece of paper I still have laying around from the last time we played a game. So it's gonna be Stu, Fable, and Link. So the way I'm gonna do it, because we'll go ahead and keep score, so I don't fuck it up like I normally do, you get 2 points for every correct answer. And then a steal is worth 1 point. That's how I always screw it up, is trying to give people half a points. So like Stu, you'll be first up. If you don't get it, then Fable, you have the first chance.
Oh, okay.
Get that steal.
Okay, got you.
Everybody ready? Is everybody in the chat ready to play along with this game? What an interesting game. Fuck, I don't have a pen. Yeah, standard. That's standard Verno preparedness. So a little sip of this, and then we will start. Okay. Here we go. The first one. This one's for Stu. Everybody listen carefully.
There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a horror movie. For instance, number 1.
What's the first rule, Stu?
Oh man, I was lagging so bad on that clip. Don't have sex.
Let's find out.
You can never have sex.
Hey, way to go. All right, this one's for Fable.
Oh, you want to play psycho killer? Can I be the helpless victim? Okay, let's see.
What'd she say? You're muted, brother. What up, Kenneth Bird? What's up?
Oh man.
This one was in the preview, I recall, from 20 some years ago.
I don't remember. I haven't seen this movie in 20 years, man. So the lines don't hit me. But pass. I pass.
Link, what's she say? Do you know? You're muted.
No, yeah, I was gonna say. I guess it won't be much better.
If you guys know in the chat, let us know. What does Tatum say to Ghostface?
Please don't kill me, Mr. Killer.
It's very fucking close. I'm gonna give you credit only if Stu can't answer it better.
Can I get a replay one time?
Oh, that might be hard to do, but I will try.
Okay.
Can I be the helpless victim? Okay, let's see.
Oh shit. Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think Link gets half a point.
Yeah, I think so too. Because Link, I was just gonna piggyback on that.
No, please don't kill me, Mr. Ghostface. I want to be in the sequel.
You know what? I wouldn't have said the sequel, but I was almost gonna say, "Oh, please don't kill me, Mr. Killer Ghostface." Or
You said, "Please don't kill me." When you had you pitched your voice up a little bit. I'm giving you credit for the pitched voice. So all right, this one is for you, Missing Link. Again, we got one. Chill had it right. She wants to be in the sequel. All right. Hell yeah. This one for Link.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I don't know.
You have to have a favorite. What comes to mind?
Halloween.
Halloween.
Boom. 2 points for Link. That's a total of 3. Stu has 2 points. And you're up, my brother.
Did you really call the police?
You bet your sorry ass I did.
You know what he says?
My mom's gonna be so mad at me.
My mom and dad are gonna be so mad.
I love that so much. All right, another 2 points for Stu. Mr. Fable, this is for you.
You sick fucks. You've seen one too many movies.
Nah, Sid! Don't you blame the movies!
You know what he says? Sailhead, mom and dad are going to be pissed.
Oh man.
That's all right. Link, do you know?
Fuck. Blame your parents.
Almost, Stu.
Movies don't make psychos; they just make psychos more creative, or something like that.
Movies don't create psychos. Movies make psychos more creative.
1 point for Stu. 1 point.
Okay,
for Stu.
fair enough. Fair enough.
And this one is Missing Link, right? That was Fable's question?
Yeah.
All right. Link, this one's for you. Chillhead, don't blame the movies.
I'm gonna swing by the video store. I was thinking Tom Cruise and all the right moves.
Everybody know this one? Fable's got it if it comes around to him. Link, do you know it?
He was a stud.
Not quite. He was, but that's not the line. Stu, do you know it?
If you pause it in the right spot, you can see his penis.
Tom Cruise and all the right moves. You know, if you pause it just right, you can see his penis.
Penis.
I remember that line. Damn it.
I love that so much. All right. Another point for Stu. Stu, you got 6. Fable, you're about to get your first couple. And Link, you have 3. All right. Actually, this is for you, right, Stu?
Sure.
Yeah,
guess.
it is.
Okay.
Sex equals death, okay? Number 2.
What's the second rule?
Oh fuck! Come on, Stu. You can never go get. You can never leave the room or say you'll be right. You can never say you'll be right back. Or is that number 3? I think I'm a rule too early.
You're too early. Fable, do you know it?
Oh, pass, man.
Link, what's the second rule?
No drugs.
You can never drink or do drugs.
No wonder
I was taking a guess. I'm not gonna accept that one.
Is a good solid guess. What up, Two Gun Pedro? You son of a bitch. Chill had that last one too. Pre-Scientology. I actually thought about that, Sal. Yeah, pre-Scientology Tom Cruise. We had no idea. We had no idea. Chill had no drinking or drugs. Where the fuck we at? Fable, around you, right, brother? All right.
I know that you're about 50 pounds overweight, but when I say hurry, please interpret that as
Hurry your big ass up or something like that. Hurry your fat butt, something like that.
I told my wife, as long as they call him fat, you get the point.
Yeah.
That's
You
right.
get full point.
You're fat tub of lard.
Yeah.
please interpret that as move your fat tub of lard ass now.
All right, this one's for you, Link.
You take a knife and you slit him from groin to sternum. Hey.
It's called tact.
That's enough, man. But you missed my favorite part, but that's definitely enough.
All right.
Hey. It's called tact, you fuck rag.
It's called tact, you fuck rag. All right, Stu, this one's for you. We're tied up at 6-6 for Stu. Fable has 2 as we continue.
Ooh.
It's for you, missing Stu.
I'm the first to admit it. If this were a scary movie, I'd be the prime suspect.
That's right. What would be your motive?
Because it's a little unclear. What does he say? What's his motive? What would be your motive?
I don't know. The best movies are the ones with no motive, or something. The best heroes. I don't know. Pass, man.
That's a good guess, because actually, Billy does say that.
Yeah, I know that comes in. That's what.
Fable, do you remember what he says?
I was gonna say the same thing. Everybody's a suspect, though.
He says that a little bit later too. Before that. Link, you got it.
It's the millennium. Motives are inconsequential or something like that.
It's the millennium. Motives are incidental.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. And I apologize. I'm being so bad at this, but who the fuck are we on? I'm so sorry. Who was that?
Fable.
Yeah, Fable. What you got, brother? Oh, you don't have anything. I need to press play.
Stop it, Billy. Would you all right? I can't take anymore.
What's he say? I know there's not much of a prompt.
I think I'm losing the blood or something like that. Or you stabbed me too much, something like that. You did,
I can't.
Nah, it's okay. It's okay.
Link, do you have it?
I'm starting to feel woozy here, man.
I'm feeling woozy here.
All right, Link, this one's for you, brother.
Maybe she had the hots for Steve and killed them both in a jealous rage.
What would Sydney want with Steve? She has her own bubble butt boyfriend, Billy.
Maybe.
Fuck. I just remember they called her a slut or something. I don't know.
Ooh, I'm tempted to give it to you. I'll give you a half point unless someone can answer it better. Stu?
Didn't she say maybe she decided suicide was out this year or some shit like that?
She says that later on.
Oh, fuck.
What I'm looking for. Fable, do you happen to remember it?
Did she compare her to her mother, like her slut mother or something like that?
Ooh, you know what? I'm going to give both you guys a point.
Maybe she's a slut, just like her mother.
Maybe she's a slut, just like her mother. I put that in there because I like the delivery. She didn't get much to work with, but she nailed that line. All right, we got a few more. We'll wrap this bad boy up. Where we at? Stu, this is for you, I believe. Right? Yeah, Stu.
So, how's the book? Well, it'll be out later this year. Oh, I'll look for it.
I'll send you a copy.
I'll send you a copy.
Damn, Sydney, super bitch. All right, Fable for you, brother.
And number 3.
What's the third rule?
Oh man, I should have been paying attention to the freaking rules. And I was intent to do that too, and I'm drawing a blank. I'll pass, man.
Link, what's the third rule?
Never ever say you'll be right back.
Oh yeah, you just said that too.
Never, ever, ever, under any circumstances, say, I'll be right back.
I'm getting another beer. You want one?
Yeah, sure.
I'll be right back.
I'll be right back. It's another one of my favorites. Just so you know, Link has 10 now. Stu has 8. Fable's got 3, and we're back on. We're on Missing Link. I'm sorry, I'm so
Yeah,
terrible.
I stole that one.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Tell that to Cotton Weary. You wouldn't believe how easy he was to frame. Watch a few movies, take a few notes.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes. What does Stu say right after that? Not that Stu, the other one.
Anybody can. I don't know. Anybody can plot a murder.
Stu?
I do not know, man.
Fable?
Watch a few movies, take a few notes. It was fun.
It was fun.
Dude, this is just making me realize how much I love fucking Matthew Lillard.
I know, seriously, dude.
So good.
All right, Stu. I think this is the last one. This one, and you need it. You need it to tie. And I don't have a
Send
time.
it to OT.
Here we go.
Of course you don't. All right.
Do you know what that constellation is?
No, what is it?
I don't know. I was asking you or something like that.
Yeah, I actually couldn't find that clip, the end of it. The clip I found cut off right there, but that is indeed that's my favorite line of the whole thing. I don't know. That's why I was asking you.
Yeah, I thought it was dope because like apparently Arquette and Matthew Lillard were both like the ones who improvised the most or improvised lines the most.
That was one thing. Listening to Kevin Williamson doing the commentary, he said he felt like Matthew Lillard's role was the most underwritten role in the movie. And then he took it and just ran with it. Luckily, if it was more written, he might not have been able to have the flexibility to do so much.
For sure.
That energy, yeah.
But hell yeah, man. We have a tie. So Stu and Steph, give yourselves a round of applause. Whoever grades this movie higher is the official winner. So let's go ahead and let's go ahead and get into it, man. Scream from 1996. Directed by Wes Craven and written by Kevin Williamson. Kevin Williamson's first movie. Of course, Wes Craven, we've been celebrating him for a few weeks here across all the channels involved in Horror Fest. And this was his, like, kind of obviously his big comeback. He hadn't done anything nearly this impactful since the first Nightmare on Elm Street. And looking into it is what I was kind of curious about is popularity-wise. Like, he's created 2 of the most popular characters in all of fiction. Like trying to get a figure on it, like just worldwide global recognizability, if I'm saying that right. Like Freddy Krueger is right around 11 for as far as being like the most recognizable fictional characters ever. And then Ghostface ranks around 40 to 45. And that's just, you know what I mean? Like that's one man to come up with 2 characters that would fit all of the fictional characters in all of fucking fiction. And both of them would fall in the top 6 of just horror characters. The only ones in front of Ghostface would be Michael, Freddy, Jason, Dracula, and Frankenstein. So it just shows you like the horror royalty. I think Ghostface kind of gets put in the background. You don't think of him because he's a bunch of different people. It's just a mask. But that mask is everywhere, and everybody around the world like knows who Ghostface is. So yeah, it's just impressive kind of looking into it. But we've been talking about it a little bit here and there. But Stu, my brother, what is your history with Scream? You guys in the chat too. What did you grow up with this one? What's your history with it? And just what do you think overall, Stu? How was the rewatch?
Yeah, dude, the rewatch was fantastic. Did it with the fam. We all
I love
loved it.
that so much.
Yeah, we all loved it.
Was it their first time? Was it the kids' first time seeing it?
It was yeah, it was Ella's first time seeing it, and you know, Jess and I had both grown up with it, so you know, it was dope for us to revisit it. But yeah, I think, you know, it came out in what, December 96, so I was 14 at the time, and it was, I just remember it being the first, you know, big scary movie that you had to go and see, that everybody was talking about. You know, it you know, in retrospect, you know, doing some research and watching some behind the scenes for this, like you do realize what it did for the horror genre in the 90s and how it kind of brought things back to life, but you're not really thinking about that at the time as a 14-15-year-old kid, you know what I mean? But I just remember it being the very first scary movie, like growing up, you know, released, you know, that really like rocked my world. And it was so, you know, that one and Scream 2, and you know, were moments, you know, because it came out right after, I think less than a year after the first one, right?
Shockingly, listen to the commentary. I love it because the Kevin Williamson and Wes Craven did the commentary that's on the disc like right after this movie came out, so it's super fresh. But they're talking about, yeah, we're actually gearing up for the next one. It's just crazy to think they have no idea how successful that's going to be, just where this is going to go from there.
Dude, that was the most crazy part with Kevin Williamson, is realizing really his cultural impact. Not only that, but like, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and then for Jess, Dawson's Creek and Vampire Diaries are like, she was like, nobody can write love triangles like that man. Like, you know, those are two of like her favorite things in the world. So like, you know,
I forget that Josh or Kevin Williamson. Was I saying Joshua earlier? Like, that's the comic writer. I fucked that. Okay, Kevin Williams. I forgot that he was the writer for Dawson's Creek.
Yeah, Dawson's Creek and Vampire Diaries.
I wonder like how much like that the impact of that. One of the biggest things that kind of comes out of Scream is the return of teen-centric horror movies. That's really Interview with a Vampire and Jacob's Ladder and Misery. Like the 90s wasn't, we'd gotten away from that. And you look at like everything in the 2000s and it's back to that. Like once Scream comes out, we're still in the Scream world. Like I think Eli Roth's Thanksgiving is a Scream. It's more of a Scream movie than the movies that he's saying it's influenced by, like The Prowler and all that, which Scream was influenced by, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. But yeah, just a fantastic rewatch, man. Just I know we're about to get into it next, but just, you know, we paused it after that first scene, and we're like, I was just talking with my wife, just like, man, like, is there anything better like in cinema than those first 14-15 minutes? But
seriously,
yeah, it was a joy, dude.
Hell yeah, man. I love to hear it. But what about you, Fab? You already said you didn't. I mean, you watched it when it came out, obviously. You just weren't a giant fan. How was the rewatch for you?
Well, I mean, look, I just want to preface by saying this, right? Like, I'm a big Freddy fan. And Wes Craven is the creator of that. So anything he had created subsequently after, I was going to be down with, right? He's like I don't know, the guy who does the guy who's making all the cool movies now, whatever. You know what I mean? Peele? Jordan Peele, right. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go after whatever he's doing. So
right.
You know, he didn't do a lot of the Freddys. He only did like the first or second one, or he was a producer on the second one or something.
Producer
like
on the third one.
Yeah. And you know, then he made The People Under the Stairs in the early 90s. And that was kind of like he's back. You know what I mean? He's back to doing this stuff. And that wasn't it. In hindsight, it's a better movie than I remember, but at that time, it wasn't Freddy, you know?
Right,
so it was like, whatever. And then he comes back to Freddy and he makes Wes Craven's New Nightmare, which I thought was a piece of trash. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you still don't like it, right?
I hate that movie.
Yeah, I love it
so much. So when Scream came out, it was like he was repeating that movie for me. And I was also in my like, you know, my hoity-toity movie, you know, critic phase where I was really into movies, and this felt like it was a little pretentious. It had like all the young kids of the day and the lingo. So I kind of wrote it off a little bit. It didn't hit me. I didn't give it that fair shake, right? That I probably should have. But on this rewatch, you got me.
That's awesome.
You got me.
I had a feeling. We've been through too much horror shit for you to come this way and not finally appreciate it. That's awesome.
You got me because, first of all, it's incredibly shot. It's beautifully shot. I mean, he uses a lot of bokeh effects, a lot of freaking like cool blur backgrounds that just fit this kind of thing.
It still looks fresh.
Stuff. Yeah, beautiful shots. A lot of these actors that we've seen grow as the years go by. This is like they're young, they're fresh in this movie. You know what I mean? And it's cool. And a lot of the things that I thought were like, again, my critic phase, I'm like, oh, this movie's kind of goofy, right? Like it's a little goofy at times, borders on almost absurdity. But it makes sense because of these guys are trying to be like movie killers. They're taking all their freaking shit from movies. So it makes sense that they're clumsy and they're clunky and they fall on the floor and they get, hit so easily or trip and shit like that, which was made fun of in those scary movies.
Dude, before I forget it, because you brought it up, there's the one scene in the garage where they throw the beer bottle at him. And it's like, it feels like they took the scary movie version of it and put it in. He's like flopping around like that. But if you go back and you look at what like Freddy Krueger flopping around, getting his ass kicked in the first one too. Like he likes a vulnerable-ish. He's not going to put like a Jason in his movie. He likes a more vulnerable villain.
So, and maybe the scary movies, the comedy movies that came out after kind of soured me on it too.
Right.
But then at the same time, everything I'm saying is the reason why this movie's so good. Right? Because like I said, the clunkiness of these killers is because they're freaking kids trying to copy movies, and it's a cool concept. And the fact that scary movies, the comedy movies came out is because of the influence of this movie. This movie was highly impactful now that I think about it, of the time it came out and everything that came out after it. You can see the inspiration in all these subsequent teen horror flicks or whatever you want to call it. Especially like we were watching what's the one where she keeps repeating things? The Happy Death Day?
Yeah. Dude, bro, I'm glad you brought that up.
Dude,
I was thinking it too.
Totally influenced by this movie.
Yep.
So in the beginning, I don't know what it was. Maybe it was my young teen mind, but in my adult years, I totally see why this is what it is, why Nev Campbell is so beloved, and why people want her to come back so bad and stuff like that. So yeah, no. This movie is a good movie. I liked it.
Hell yeah, man! No, I absolutely love to hear it. One thing I want to respond to what you said is, and I thought of it while I was watching it this time, but when they were shopping this movie around, Kevin Williams, it was a super hot script. Everybody was interested in it. Hollywood was really, really buzzing about this script, and they offered it Wes Craven, and he didn't want it. They kept giving it to other directors and, talking with them about it. And everyone's coming back to the producers and saying, like, this is a comedy. Like, this isn't a horror movie. This is a comedy. Producers are coming back to Kevin Williamson, like, is this a scary movie? He's like, yes, it's a scary movie. And they talk about how, like, if it was someone more like a less capable director, it could have easily, like, went too far one way or the other. Like, it's borderline a horror comedy.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many jokes in the movie, but it's somehow not. Like, no one throws it in the best horror comedies of all time. It's a horror movie somehow.
And just one more thing that I don't know why it didn't dawn on me at that time, but like just the love of horror movies that is presented in this movie.
Yeah.
Like there's a scene where they're in the movie store and he goes, "Oh, is that new Wes Carpenter movie?" So it's like Wes Craven, John Carpenter, little things like that. Freddy Krueger mopping the floor.
Yep.
And you even see Linda Blair for a brief second being a reporter, and that shit fucking, this is the stuff that is hitting me now because of all the knowledge I know now. And I'm like, oh shit, man, I was an idiot when I was young. Maybe I was the pretentious one.
Well, I know it kind of sets itself up for that. Like if you're going, I mean, even like plot hole wise, if you're going into it with a critical mind, especially before you know the killer's motivation on a first watch, you're like, the fuck. I mean, there's a lot of.
I mean, I would totally say that it's all fucking like projected. Like if you don't guess that it's these kids, I mean, come on. Even then I knew that, but that's not the point. You know what I mean? It's still a well done film.
we'll debate that a little bit. I totally get where you're coming with that, but as far as at the end of this, we'll talk about the mystery of it and the red herrings and all that. But I totally see where you're coming from. Link, my brother, overall thoughts on the rewatch and your history with the film.
I loved it, man. It was refreshing to see that this movie still holds its weight after all these years. Yeah, I saw this as a kid, man. Like even as a kid, something I always appreciated about it, Ghostface or the Scream movies, was that Ghostface wasn't this unrelenting force or this unstoppable juggernaut. Like there's nothing supernatural about them, like there was with Freddy or Jason, or they weren't some crazy strong behemoth like Michael Myers. Like they're almost like guerrilla warfare tactics. Like they have to mentally fuck you up, they make you uneasy before they strike you, and they don't even come out right away. Like they might fucking chase you a little bit. Like it's like hit and move tactics. So that always kind of stood out to me as I got older. But one thing I've always loved about the Scream movies, and I'm sure other movies have done it, but I love how they always open up with like the kills, how the films always open up with like this bit setting up this character going on about the day, and it ties into like some meta commentary about horror, something like that. But even with this particularly the first film, within the first 5 minutes, it's super engaging. Like by the 5 minute mark, she's already fucking getting crazy phone calls. She's kind of hysterical. So you're like, what the fuck, And I really appreciate it. Like the air of mystery. I feel like they did reveal it, but if you're paying attention, you will see the clues, because this every film, if it's doing its job, like no shot is a waste, So it's like, not to get too far ahead with the whole particular Nev Campbell scene, when she first gets the phone call and Billy pops up as soon as Ghostface was in the house, as an audience, I'm like, that was kind of weird, but it's like the way Wes Craven goes about throwing you off the trail. He sets it up to let you know who it really is from the jump, to be honest. But so the way he goes about mystery throughout the rest of the film was really impressive. And I felt like, maybe because I haven't seen Freddy's New Nightmare in a minute, but is that the one where it's like Freddy's a movie?
Yeah, they're making a new movie with the actors, and Wes Craven's in the movie directing it. And
it's the meta Wes Craven movie before this one. It's like him warming up to do this, more or less. Well, the funny thing is though, and this kind of like it throws a wrench into my whole plan here. It's like, we are studying the evolution of Wes Craven, and there's so many things I want to comment on, but then I realized, like, well, shit, that is probably Kevin Williamson. So many of the elements of this, it's like everything was in the script, almost everything. This is just a really well-written movie, and most of these elements, they really come from him.
So, I mean, Kevin Williamson, he did the script for now, like The Faculty and H2O, right?
And I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Oh yeah, my man's clearly he's got the buzz. He was the late 90s horror-wise were him,
if there was even ones that I thought was him, like Urban Legend and some of those other like Scream knockoffs that I assumed maybe he did write, but no, it's like there's just a lot of people took what he did. People were out there calling him, hey, who can write like this guy? We need another Scream. SoCal Dan, you son of a bitch. What up, Damian Knox? What up, brother?
Who's the director of the Avengers again?
Joss Whedon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this is Joss Whedon's inspiration. This guy Williamson, you say, because just the way that he writes teenagers and stuff, Joss Whedon kind of like.
That was Buffy.
I could say Buffy came out in the early 90s, but there was definitely, but the show came out like 97, so right after this. But you can definitely see how he, between the first Buffy movie and the show, you can see that there was like a change in how Joss Whedon writes his dialogue. It became more snappy.
Especially if you're saying he did The Faculty and Last Summer, there's a lot of these quippy teenager talk in these movies.
Totally. That's interesting. You look at if Joss Whedon was influenced by this, then you're looking at this movie influencing the MCU, and it's like, goddamn, like how far does it go with the quippiness? Everybody in this is a quip, not quite Spider-Man, but there's a relation.
No, I feel like the wit it's just a great script because it's like every character is quippy, but it's not like they're all fucking have the same voice of wit, you know? Like
Right.
they quip when it deems necessary, you know, like when Cindy lays out her fucking quips towards the end, like she's earned that because she's been being fucking hit with quips throughout the entire movie from these two taunting her. So it's like when she finally wins and gives her quips back, like it feels earned. That it is it feels very teenagery, but they don't all feel like they have the same voice, you know, in a sense, which sometimes I feel like writers can struggle with. This is probably going off topic, but some, for example, someone like we all love Jonathan Hickman, but once in a while, some of his, depending, so all of his characters can sound like the vis-a-vis dude from Matrix Reloaded, the architect, you know. So it's Kevin Williams has a good knack for making his characters sound distinct, but they're all still witty at the same time. That's Joss Whedon kind of suffers from that. Like sometimes all his characters sound the fucking
100%, man. Everybody in Buffy quips the same way. They all use the same jokes. Definitely. But I'm glad you kind of tied that together. I never Buffy's so much influenced by this. I never really looked at it like that. Damien, man, I want to read it. He says, I was thinking of writing a fan film series showing Billy and Stu's perspective.
Yo, you know what's crazy? Speaking on that, I had an idea, not like that, but in the beginning when they first killed Drew Barrymore, and she's gagging she's trying to scream out for her parents as they're walking in the house. They walk through the house, all that shit set up. And finally, they walk outside and they see her hanging from the tree. And I'm just like, imagine the perspective of these guys are like, all right, okay, get down. Right? Like,
I get her up, hurry the fuck up. Yeah. God, she's heavier than I thought.
Rip her guts out. Rip fucking guts out of her.
We cut off a leg. That would at least be 30 pounds later. There's a lot to react to from everything you guys said. One thing I was thinking of, just like he gets so much credit for this is the beginning of self-aware horror, and then self-aware film in general. But if you look at it, first of all, there was Wes Craven's New Nightmares before that. But even back in the 80s, and this is something I've said before, it's like in the 90s, the slasher had become the right age to then be satirized. But if you look at films in the 80s, they're satirizing the vampire in that era, and probably other ones that I'm not thinking of. But you've got Lost Boys. They know all about the rules of the vampires. You got the Frog Boys reading comic books.
First Bite with, it wasn't really a horror movie. Did Jim Carrey shit?
Yeah. So, exactly. Once everybody knows the rules, you almost have to acknowledge the rules and able to then go on and make that movie. Fright Night's another big one.
Which is super clever, man. That's why this movie's so clever, because these guys, all the movies we talk about from the 80s, that's what these guys were watching. That's where these guys formed their whole entire world and their whole entire personalities from. Is from that stuff. So it's clever, man. And it's so clever because Wes Craven helped create it.
Right.
World.
It's also it's exactly what you're saying. Yeah, they grew up on Kevin Williamson grew up on all the tropes of the 80s and the 70s. And he was so aware of them that now it's finally time to flip them on their head. And then it's just everybody else followed suit. And you had to write a smarter horror movie after this came out. And you couldn't write a standard slasher movie. It just wasn't going to fly for quite a while. But the other thing I'm going to say before we get into the characters, Stu, I love the fact that you watch this with your family, which is one of the great things about it. It's weird to say, I love that there's no titties in this movie, because I love titties, but it's nice to not have to have that moment, cover your eyes, or any awkward stuff with your kids. It's pretty rare to have, especially a movie this high caliber with the lack of sleaze. And I had a similar thing. My nieces stayed with us a couple years ago, and we went through the entire franchise, and they were 12 and 13, and they just loved it. We actually watched Scream 5 first, and they loved that. And then we went back and watched 1, and oh, this is way better. And I'm like, yes. I'm like, hell yeah. I respect that. But obviously one of the reasons why this franchise has lasted as long as it has and win people's minds and hearts is the characters. They were really smart. Plot armor is the thing that kind of plagues this franchise as it goes. But you look at the end of this movie, Dewey seems dead, Gail seems dead, Randy seems dead, and in the last couple seconds, they're all back. And then we get them to go on to future movies. And luckily they did, because that's this, it's just, some of the best characters in the history of horror, in my opinion. not even opinion. It's like fucking pretty clear. Like these are beloved, huge characters. But Stu, what's like one you want to highlight? Like, and we can all pick if we all our favorite is Stu, then so be it. But I want to know, like, legit, like who's your favorite character, and then like just what are your thoughts on the characters as a whole? You guys in the chat too. Who's your favorite character in Scream?
Well, dude, I'm kind of like stuck between talking about my favorite and talking about Drew Barrymore because I feel like she was such.
Oh my god, I meant to. We didn't do the opening scene.
Yeah, we got to do the opening scene.
We'll get there in a minute. We'll get.
All
there.
right, fine. I'm gonna leave Drew off the list then.
Okay.
It's definitely Matthew Lillard. Then absolutely, man, without a doubt. Like the comedic relief. I just love. His presence throughout the movie. Like I said earlier, I love that he ad-libbed a bunch of those lines, like getting hit with the phone. He wasn't supposed to get hit with the phone, but it slipped, and you hit me with the fucking phone, you dick.
I love that.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. He gave I love that goodbye, I'll be right back. And in that room, like so many of the and all those playing that quiz, dude. It just you realize how many iconic lines this guy delivered throughout this movie. And he just had such a great goofy energy. I love his, his Guildenstern to like Billy Loomis's Rosencrantz. I love how like those two, like how Homeboy is kind of bossing him around, and he's his little lapdog, and he's going to follow him to the ends of the earth. I love that relationship. So
me too.
Yeah, definitely Matthew Lillard for sure.
Hell yeah, man. We got Robbie down here saying Randy's his favorite. That's what I'm saying. I said like, we might all pick Stu. I'm curious, but there is a lot to go around. Kind of everybody has their different one. But where you stand on it, Fable?
I don't know his name. Maybe it's the guy that Robbie's saying, the rule guy, the guy who makes the rules.
Jamie Kennedy.
Jamie Kennedy.
This was his not I was gonna say it's his introduction, but he did Romeo and Juliet before this with Leonardo DiCaprio. He was one of the guys in that.
I love that movie so
I loved
much.
him in this movie. I thought he was fantastic. I loved how he was when they were when they were all hanging out in front of the school, when they were investigating everything, and the banter he had with them, and then the video store part where he's like, everybody's a suspect, he's getting all loud, and you know what I mean? And then the rule part, and everyone, I just loved everything. Everything he was in, he chewed it up.
Right.
Every scene he was in, he chewed it up. So yeah, Randy, I gotta agree with Robbie. Randy, man.
And they continue with a Randy or a Randy type character as the franchise evolves. They always have to have. It's one thing people might not like, but they have to have a rules scene, and they always add a little bit, like some new rules or ones we hadn't thought of. They do a good job, I think, evolving, like keeping it fresh throughout the years. But what were you saying, Link?
Oh no, his nieces and nephews were the
yeah. What about you, man? Who's your favorite? What do you think overall?
I did really enjoy Jamie Kennedy's Randy just because it's like he legit. I don't know. It's like anybody probably could have done that role, but he legit seemed like a movie nerd. And it's like towards the end, he kept getting fucked up in like humorous ways. He like walks up to the car, gets smacked by Gail. He's outside with fucking Stu and gets locked outside with him. Then finally comes inside and gets fucking shot. Like it was just kept going downhill. But Rose, I'll give a shout out to Rose McGowan. She had a great knack for playing that type of girl around the era. Like Jawbreaker came out afterwards, but that comes to mind. And her in that sweater was then just the whole get up. Rose McGowan was rocking.
I wish they would have done in Scary Movie. I don't think it's just like when that scene when she comes out, she should have just had like her tits all the way out, or just been like a full, like her face should have been a nipple. You know what I mean? Just like something that like nipple. You're expecting nipples here. I don't know.
But I feel like she nailed that whole. It was almost like Clueless type of vibe, but bitch, best friend.
They say one of her first lines in the movie. I noticed it this time. They're like, "Who did it?" She goes, "Fucking Clueless," and I'm like, I think they were intentionally doing that.
That's fire.
She kind of reminded me of the best friend from Marky Mark. Fearless.
Reese, they were talking about fucking Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah,
no. Just like he like starts himself and bruises himself to be say like the dad whooped his ass. But yeah, she kind of reminds me of the best friend from Fearless. She's a good friend, but she's kind of skanky, kind of slutty, you know. Always want a good one to have around.
I love to have those around. No, just joking. I mean, I really do love them all, and especially because I've watched this whole franchise many times, and so many of these characters evolve and you grow, and you know what I mean. I'm very close with a lot of them, but I'll say Dewey, like Stu, really is
Good
a standout
call.
character. But fucking Dewey, you either love him or hate him. A lot of people can't stand Dewey. He's so dopey. I love his doofy alternative in Scary Movie.
Yeah,
No,
so great.
like, he's just so funny. He's
Yeah,
he's the one that he's kind of the heart of the show. He's a lot of the comic relief, but he also has like there's little glimpses of him, like he's afraid, but he also is brave.
Being brave.
Like he's scared shitless, but he'll go through it and try to.
He's totally
he's got true
a
courage.
hero. He's totally a hero. I love that line where he was arguing with his sister. And she's like, "Well, I'm the law or something." Mom said to treat me when I have to.
Yeah,
something like that.
When they're leaving and the sheriff is like saying something, he's like, "Don't talk. He's my superior." And she goes, "Dewey, the janitor's your superior."
Everyone like undermining him. Like even Cindy at the beginning, she's like, "Sure, dude." He's like, "Sorry, Cindy. When I'm wearing the badge, it's officers."
Yeah. Well, wear this badge. Bob says you got to respect me.
Yeah.
The other bit, one of my favorite moments of the whole movie, and this is where it borders on like spoof. It almost seems like a full-fledged comedy. Like after Cindy gets off the phone at Dewey's house, and she hangs up the phone.
Oh, the front
he
door.
Just walks up to it.
Yeah.
Hello. They're like, what the fuck? Who are you talking to? The phone is hung up. That's not how phones work.
I love the front door with the mask.
The ghost face mask. Screams. Bro, why are you holding it up to the door to begin with? Like, I was just trying to imagine, like, at what point he would have picked up the mask and held it up to the front door. And...
Right. Why would you do that? Why would you do that?
And it's even doper to like hear that, he was not even a thought for that role in casting, and he kind of like, really championed himself and fought for himself to be in that role, and like his vision of like what that character could be. I thought that was cool.
Is this the one the movie where him and Courtney Cox met, or were they already together?
Yep.
Okay.
No, I think this is it.
It's another thing, hearing Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson talking about those two in the commentary, like they've really hit it off. Yeah, they spent a lot of time together on set. Became.
I mean, I
friends.
could tell. I could tell watching it because I'm not a big. Was it Arquette, right? That's his name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of him just in general, but I can tell, like, I could tell a chick being down for him, right? You know what I mean? Just the way he was acting in this movie, it was like, oh yeah, he could get the ladies. Hell yeah.
Jill saying, Verno, when this stream is live, you treat me like a man of the law.
Yeah, there you go. That's what he said.
Exactly. All right, but now reverse and go back to where we planned on being. Finally, an hour into the stream, we are at the opening scene of Scream 1996. Drew Barrymore, in all of the trailers leading up to this, she's set up to be the star of the movie. That's what everybody thinks. Mm-hmm. She's the biggest name. Neve Campbell was somebody from Party of Five, but she wasn't Drew Barrymore. So, I mean, this opening scene, I'm not the first one to say it. You just could take this alone as a short, and it's one of the most entertaining shorts you could ever watch. You don't need to go on from here. The cinematography, everything that gets set up or everything that happens in the rest of the movie is all on display right here. The acting, the dialogue. I could have done that whole quote segment just on the dialogue in the first 15 minutes of the movie. What's his name? Roger Jackson, I think his name is. Roger Jackson, the voice actor. They nailed it with that. They nailed it with the way that it escalates, having the popcorn burning in the background, the brutalness. This is one thing where I'm like, oh, I wanted to compare this to Wes Craven. Like, this seems like it would have came from the same mind with some of those moments in like The Hills Have Eyes, where you've got the father burning alive in front of his family. We've got this daughter hung in her front yard in front of her parents. Like, in this popcorn, soft 90s horror movie, such a fucking brutal, freaky opening to it. But it's, to me, it's like, I was really trying to think of it. You guys in the chat and you guys on the panel, like, what are the best opening scenes in cinema? You know what I mean? Like there's the Dark Knight, there's the opening of Jaws. You know what I mean? There's like big iconic, but this has to be one of the best, if not the best, opening scene in the history of not just horror, but like any movie ever. Let me read this from Robbie, and then I want to send it to you, Stu. Watching Scream on opening weekend was such a huge deal, and that opening took us all by surprise. Also, Verno, you are probably the sexiest person that I've ever seen on YouTube. Rob B, Jesus, message me later. He also says, look at the use of space and the windows. Thank you for saying the word space, because that's, you know, every bit of the layout of this house: front yard, side yard, backyard, the different rooms and the bottom floor of the house. And you get that mostly just from following the characters around. Like, this is something I heard someone say on a podcast, like, oh, Wes Craven's use of space is just so much better than everybody else. And it's made me look at the way that other directors use. I look at film differently from learning how Wes Craven used it, and just looking around, and you can pick up who knows what they're doing and who doesn't. Look at the opening scene of Scream 5, which is a remake of this opening scene, and try to figure out the layout of that house in your head. It's just like, it's someone I love it. I think it's Scream 5 is dope, but it's not this. But Stu, my brother, what are your thoughts on the opening scene? And you guys in the chat.
I mean, yeah, just so and when you talk about Drew Barrymore, dude, really the linchpin of this whole thing, because Craven was kind of hesitant about signing on for the movie, and then she, read the script and expressed interest, and because he was coming from the mindset, and I understand that. I don't want to be misogynistic again, killing and dismembering a female in the first 10 minutes of my movie. I'm giving everybody what they expect. I don't want to be, and I just love how she was kind of his inspiration to sign on and to go for it. And I know that, she was slated to kind of play Neve Campbell's, role early on, and then she kind of dropped down to this. But regardless, I thought it was fantastic. And yeah, it really worked as a marketing technique, because you think she's going to be in the film the whole way, and obviously she wasn't. But dude, it's just brutal. And it's such a, from her boyfriend to the conversation with the killer, how it goes from flirtation to something more menacing. I want to know who I'm looking at. The use of the popcorn and the fire, her parents coming home. Like, my favorite part was, as brutal as it was, her, basically dying and getting dragged off, and her mom listening to her on the phone. It's just such a great standard setter for the rest of the movie. And it lets you have that lag after the fact, because like, what the fuck? Like, this is the first 14 minutes of the film. So after that, man, you're just like, the adrenaline is so high, and you're just waiting for, what's about to happen next. It's brilliant in every way. I think, just the way it's shot, both in slow-mo, and the shots like around the corner of the house with her trying to scream at her parents, and her parents trying to figure out what's going on. It's just masterful in every way, dude. And, like I said, I just stopped it. I was stopping and watching it with my daughter and my wife, and just like, we were all just marveling at how awesome it was, because, like you said, you could turn it off right there. And I love that the Weinsteins kind of, they kind of made them hurry and put this together when they were, this was the first thing they shot. There was doubts about the mask. They had doubts about where everything was going. And that, they finally made them put all this together, edit it together, and they saw this and they were like, oh shit, you know what? We got more money for y'all. We're going to go ahead and get that mask license. We're going to take, like, this is what gave them faith in the movie.
It's got to be. I mean, could you imagine? Yeah. Like, if this is what comes back, because you're right. This is the first 5 days of shooting, and it kind of like elevated, it got everybody more excited of like, oh, this is what we're working on.
Like, can you imagine?
How long was, like, because I know, like, right after this, like, Ghostface was like the Halloween costume for a few years.
Right.
I want to say, maybe up until like the Blair Witch came out, like there, Scream was dominating those couple years.
For sure.
So from like 96 to like 98, I guess that's not too long, it's 2 years. But I just remember like seeing so many people rocking the Ghostface.
Well, it was even like, if you think about even like Blair Witch Project, what are they going to dress up as? The stick figure? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, yeah, like there in the 90s, there wasn't the iconic, like those outfits, these comic booky, like iconic outfits.
No, and I love how They found that mask, like apparently location scouting in an old house that Hitchcock had used, like
Oh, is
hanging
that
on a
what-
bedpost. Yeah, like one of Hitchcock's old movies, they found that mask was apparently some design and it was hanging on the bedpost, and they found it,
and it's
found out
just
where his license and
just
went
like what
from
they
there.
say in the movie. It's just a mask you could buy anywhere. I think it was
Yeah.
Fun World, and they went and just
Yeah.
bought it from them. They tweaked it a little bit. The original idea was it was going to be like, I don't know where the ghost face, like when they started calling him ghost face, but he was supposed to be more ghost like, and it was going to be a white outfit originally.
I think it was in Williamson's script. He actually wrote like the ghost face killer or the ghost face mask or some, like he actually had those words
as
in
ghost
there.
face.
Yeah.
Well, that was one thing, is like when they, Wes Craven signed on and he's talking with Joshua Williamson about fuck Kevin Williamson.
It's hard, dude.
You got this is proof. Anyway, I did used to talk about comic book.
Damn you, DC.
You need proof. There it is. Is Wes Craven said, well, shit. So we know he's got the face mask on, but how are people going to know? Like, what else does he look like? People are going to know what he looks like from his clothes. And Williamson said, that's your problem. I'm the writer. You're the director. You figure that out. But I thought it was goofy at first. I thought it was like
kind of
looking.
I mean, well, he kind of looks like, somebody they would have found at the end of a Scooby-Doo episode, to be honest.
Yeah, that's so true.
There's a lot of Scooby-Doo in this movie. Like,
yeah.
That's so true.
I was gonna ask. So, was the Ghostface costume not? So they made that look. Was the mask available before that? Like,
the mask was available, but I don't think it was a set with the robe or anything.
Okay.
Yeah, and apparently, like the first offer they made to Fun World or whatever, they wanted way too much money for the license, and they had to. They eventually ended up getting a deal done, but yeah, they were trying to. They were trying to get their money at first.
I'm glad. So I was thinking of that earlier. I was gonna say Jada Pinkett, where she stands in the middle of the crowd.
I love it. I mean, first of all, I think the second one is like it's up there. Like for me, it's like it's so goddamn good. But that
we had Omar Epps.
The second one is awesome, dude. I think it's so cool.
Even had a homage to a glory hole. He gets killed doing the whole glory hole thing.
Yeah. Yeah, which they do in Scary Movie, and that's another one that like I look back on that movie. There was some like backlash from people about the lack of diversity in the first one, just being such a big movie with like all white characters. And Scream 2 is one of the first movies that it was like, oh wow, like I remember it being noticeably black in 1997, and it was like something you didn't see like before that as much in big Hollywood things.
He was like, "You want black people? We're gonna have two of them killed off in the first." Yeah,
and we're gonna have a black cameraman. We'll kill him off eventually. And Sydney's got a black.
Gil. Yeah,
we'll kill her too. We're not gonna bring any permanent in. Let's not get crazy. We'll wait for the fifth one. But they did. They were trying. They were trying. Robbie says, I used to see that mask at drugstores during Halloween season. Repurposing that mask was a genius move, just like Verno is. We were all already familiar with that mask. Robbie, I don't know what I've done to make you so excited about me. Jeepers Creepers opening scene was one of the best parts of that movie. That's a good one. What did somebody else said one earlier? I forgot to. Robbie said another one. X2. Why can't I think? How did X-Men 2?
Oh, X with Nightcrawler,
man.
Oh,
in the White House, man.
Yeah. Yep.
There's a deadly character until I saw that open. I was like, oh shit, Nightcrawler could really pop off if you wanted to, bro. Like it, that X2 definitely was
one of the best realizations of a comic book character. I think up to that point. Like I don't know.
This is
it was just crazy.
Since we're on it, the Colossus that we see in X2 for like fucking 0.5 seconds is better than any Colossus we've seen in Stan, Deadpool, any of them. They just got it right in those.
And Wolverine, man, when he goes berserk when they raid the house. I mean, that was
that's
so good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's one of the best superhero movies ever. Talk about movies. Hell yeah.
I was gonna say with the opening this movie, bro, I feel like even with any movie, like you're kind of they encompass what you're gonna be getting throughout the rest of the movie. I was gonna throw 28 Days Later in there. It's not an amazing opening, but I feel like it kind of nails.
Like, totally. It sets the tone for the movie. That's memorable as fuck. Yeah, no, that's a great one. All right, so let us. Last thing I want to say on it is just even on the opening scene. Even Drew Barrymore dying in that way is kind of an homage to Psycho. Like just like what you're saying, Mike, they are setting up what this movie is so well. What's your favorite scary movie? It seems like so like, yeah, well, it's just something that Ghostface says. To talk about scary movies in a scary movie that blatantly, like, was a pretty big deal at the time.
Yeah. I would say, just to add on to that real quick,
Mhm.
it's Scary Movie the movie, if that
Right.
makes sense,
Did
right?
you
Like that little 15 minutes,
Yeah.
because you could tell that the guy who wrote it, like you said, Williamson, big fan. There's a lot of this. You know what I get? I get Nancy and Freddie.
Oh, yeah.
When she's on the phone with him and he's like, "Hey, little girl," whatever,
Yeah.
and the tongue comes out of the
Yeah.
phone. Yeah, you know what I mean? But like way upgraded, right? Like super upgraded. And when you do that, who do you come to get to direct the visuals of that? The guy who fucking you're inspired by.
Right.
So it's like they're inspiring each other to make this like freaking 15-minute opening that's just Scary Movie the movie. That's what I see when I see
Right.
it.
How do I blow this up even bigger down there at the bottom? Is there a way to make that full screen?
We'll have that. We'll have that up here. We'll be down in the corners for us.
Yeah. Just give it'll take Stu's box.
Shout out,
You can have it.
shout out to Hellbound, Hellraiser 2, man. Pinhead's birth when that movie
Oh,
opens,
yeah.
open in the box, and how he becomes Pinhead and the shits get hammered into his head and shit like that. I love that freaking
That's a
opening.
great
The movie,
one.
It's
Yeah.
whatever, but that opening was dope.
Yeah. I mean, even Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one, I think that opens up like in the cellar, like her going down to the first time. Yeah. That is just one more time. Okay. All right. So let us move on let's finish up by just talking about the reveal, the mystery element, just like the ending. The third act of this movie, which we don't got to get into too much. This is like one of the longest fucking third acts in the history of film. This is a weirdly structured movie with this long opening sequence. And then we were introduced to all of our characters really quickly. We get the principal death, and then we're at the third act. And it's like 45 minutes at Stu Macher's house. I mean, there's so many different sections of it. It was labeled on the script, it was labeled scene 118. And it was just one scene 118 on the script. And they shot it for like 5 or 6 weeks. And they all got shirts that said, "I survived scene 118" to wear afterwards. But I just as far as the mystery, this is my bit on what they're doing with Billy. They're making it so purposefully. They're trying to make it so obvious that it's Billy that you're going to think it's not Billy. And they want you. This is what Wes Craven was saying about what Joshua Williamson's script, Kevin Williamson's script to him, is that like, yeah, I recommend you guys going out and checking out Joshua Williamson's work as well. He's a very talented young comic book writer. But what the fuck was I saying? He wants you to go back and forth the whole movie on thinking it's Billy. Oh, it's got to be Billy. It's too obvious to be Billy. Oh, wait, it is Billy. It's not Billy. So that way, when you get to the moment where Billy is killed, it all is dependent on that. Like, you're supposed to think it's Billy right up to that second. He gets killed. Then you got about 10 minutes to deal with him not being the killer. And then you find out it's him and, spoiler, it's him and Stu. So, and to me, that's the big thing. That's the thing that very few Prom Nights and Terror Trains and The Prowler and those 80s slashers, none of them did this good of a mystery, and none of them did the two killer misdirect. There's one movie that did, and I'm not going to tell you guys what it is because we're going to cover it at some point in the not too distant future. It's a 1960s foreign film that you're not going to know it off the top of your head. I'll just say it. It's a Mario Bava film where there's two killers. There's even a killer. The killer even kind of looks like Ghostface. He's got a white face and he's wearing all black. And I think it was definitely an inspiration. It had to be. And if it wasn't, then it inspired other things that inspired this. But I think that's what they're doing with the mystery. And that's why I think it does work for the most part. And I still remember being blown away. Like, could not fucking believe it the first time I saw it. Like, oh my God, two killers. Like, I just thought it was the coolest shit I'd ever seen up until that point. I was 13.
Ooh,
you know what I mean?
Quick question. From the commentary, do you know if they continuity wise, like say, depending, like, do they have a continuity, or did the director writer have a continuity of who was killing who at the time?
When and where? This is kind of funny because Wes Craven's like, I was actually really impressed, Joshua. Really impressed, Kevin, with when we went back and looked and saw how seamless it worked. and that nobody was ever in the wrong place at the right time, and it all worked out. And he was like, I didn't notice that until after the movie was made. He's like, I just kind of wrote it and then noticed that it worked. Like, but no, they didn't like really lay out who was wearing what. But fans should have.
There's that third
when,
killer theory and all that.
When Sid is being chased by Matthew Lillard, like after that we think Billy has been stabbed, right? And she's being chased by Matthew Lillard. He runs into something, but he grunts. Like, was that things? Was that Matthew Lillard grunting? You know, like you know.
I wondered that too. Even out in the garage, I'm pretty sure it's him killing his girlfriend, and he does a few grunts out there that I'm like, I'm trying to hear him grunt. I know there's a big like thing that people say, Stu's the only one that cleans the knife. That's why he was even in another movie. I won't spoil it for anyone that wants to see it. He was in another movie recently where he was the killer in it, and he's in disguise. And I knew right away because they did a little homage in that movie where he cleans the knife. I'm like, Matthew Lillard, you're the fucking killer. I knew right then and there. But yeah, as far as the continuity and all that, it just kind of worked from what I understand. But where are we at? Stu, what are your thoughts on just the mystery in general in the end?
Yeah, dude, it definitely worked for me. I remember, you know, the first time watching it, definitely being blown away by that. And it was super cool. I remember the talk box being a super cool tool for me. I love that, like learning that they had that guy on set and they hid him from the actors or, you know, the actresses when he was talking with them on the phone. Like he was
really
hidden on the set, and they couldn't see him.
I guess they had to do the opening bit with Drew Barrymore on a real phone line, and they ended up getting a call like 3 a.m. being like, "We demand to know who you are. Like, quit terrorizing this young woman." Like they thought it was real.
That's awesome. But yeah, dude, you know, it worked for me, and you know, it still holds up on the rewatch. You know, it's coming, but like I like you said, I love how they throw Billy there front and center. Like he's desperate sometimes to represent himself after some of these murders, you know, and put himself into your psyche as a guy with suspicion. There's other little things too. Like I remember the sheriff, the sheriff in this, who's like what other horror movie is he in?
Oh, I don't know. They mentioned it in the commentary, but I'm not sure.
God, yeah. So he's like, you know, a carryover from another horror movie, but there's one scene like when he's smoking the cigarette while Dewey's eating the ice cream cone. Yeah. And he puts it out. He puts it out with his boot, and you see his boot like put that cigarette out, and for some reason that just piques your interest a little bit. Just little things like that, just to kind of, you know, mess with you a little bit. But like you think you know what's coming, and it's kind of like easily laid out for you. And I think it's a brilliant little twist with Stu.
I
but yeah, like you rewatch it and you're like, man, how did I not pick up on certain things? Like, there's a conversation when they're having lunch, you know, at the campus, and
I didn't kill nobody. Nobody said you did.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Whoa, like, okay, clearly it's the two of you. Even when they're talking to Randy and they're going back and forth, knowing that they're the killers, it's like, I mean, but we didn't. It still fooled most people at the time. So you know,
absolutely, yeah.
But what about you, Faye? What are your thoughts on the mystery and the reveal?
Well, back in the day, I remember like just knowing it was Billy. That's the guy who looks like freaking Johnny Depp. I mean, that's what I think of when I see this kid.
Right.
Hello.
Which another fun fact: Tatum, Stu's girlfriend, is dressed as Johnny Depp is dressed in A Nightmare on Elm Street 1. She's wearing the belly shirt with the number 10 jersey on it, which is what Johnny Depp wears when he dies in that one.
But yeah, I always had a feeling it was him, even though no matter how many times they try to throw it off or whatever. The part that I didn't expect was Matthew Lillard to be the second killer. That's the part that got me. Because even when they killed him, I was like, I don't care. That's that kid, something's up. He's still I don't care. Something's wrong here. But on this go around, I kind of forgot the two killers. Cool. I mean, I knew there was two killers, but I kind of forgot who it was going to be. And then once again, I caught, okay, it's Billy for sure. But what I noticed that really showed you, well, one, that it was both of them, was when they were in the video store.
Yeah.
Because Billy was trying to prove his innocence so much, and then he was a real bastard to Randy in the store. They acted like they were going to kill him right there.
Right.
With him in the store. And then also when Nev Campbell's in the attic and she's getting chased and she escapes out the window. And you would think that whoever's chasing her would have to catch her ass because she got out the window. Yet when they show the killer again, he's about to kill Randy.
Yeah.
Why would you stop to kill Randy if
yeah.
Nev Campbell just escaped out the attic?
I think I noticed that last time because
Yeah.
he hears her scream, and that's what saves Randy's life. He turns around, so yeah.
Right. So right there is when I caught like, okay, it's two of them for sure. But that's in hindsight though. I love that. One of the things that I love about this watch was the structure, just like you said. It turned it on its head. Like Link said earlier, it starts off like first the Drew Barrymore scene, then right into Nev Campbell. Immediately. Then the character stuff, and then the party, man, and setting up this party where you know everybody's gonna be fodder for something. So yeah, no, I thought the mystery worked and I thought the structure worked perfectly.
Hell yeah. What about you, Missing Link? Finish us off here with the third act and the mystery and all that shizzle.
The structure wise, I think it was brilliant. I think, you know, that's why I think is one of the he told you from the, like, you know, if you were conscious or aware enough, you were gonna pick up like it's too much of a coincidence that you were climbing up the window as soon as the killer was in the house and you didn't fucking see or hear a commotion, and like the phone drops out. Like that is him telling us right then and there, like he's letting you know, but just his misdirection is so brilliant throughout the rest of the film that you're like, oh, that'd be too easy. Like it seems like it's Billy or Stu and Billy, like, but that'd be too easy, you know, it can't be there.
Yeah.
I think that's
like, what he's playing with. That, like, because you're right, you see that and you're like, oh, there's no way it's him. They're telling us it's him, so it can't be him. Yeah.
But I think I like this third act. It is a little longer than your average film, but I think because of how the first halves of the film are set up as such a mystery, and there's so many, it's like a guessing game of clue, like who did this or who could it be? It's like you need the time to unwind and lay out who it was and how they've been operating and what's their motivation towards the end of the film. Like,
right.
And it's all like a nice accumulation of like being at this Halloween party and like, you know, they had set this up, you know, and we find out that it's been tied to Sydney's mom, you know, and her past and shit like that. Like, so
another thing that ties in weirdly with Wes Craven's former film. That's what I said on PCP movie night. As soon as we did Last House on the Left, I'm like, this is a theme through Wes Craven. It's all about generational, like the sins of the father. But then it's like, he didn't write the script, but it maybe is this what helped him accept the trip, this script. You know what I mean? Like it fits in so nicely with
his themes. No, yeah. I think, you know, I wouldn't say which one I enjoy. I think it just works well. Like the first half has a lot of momentum and it's a lot of thrilling, suspenseful moments. But the third half has a lot of the payoff that you need in order for everything that the first half is set up. You need the payoff that the third half delivers.
Right.
I think it was a brilliant ending. I particularly like how it ends because, like you were saying earlier, like we don't know who fucking survived really until the very last few shots. Like we see Dewey getting lifted into the ambulance. We know Gail's okay. But you know, we don't get too much more than that. It's just like they survived, then that's enough. You know, they fucking they beat the crisis.
I love Gail doing like the reading, like doing her live bit as the credits are rolling. I just think it's a cool way to send it out. This small house in the middle,
And I love Jamie Kennedy too. Like, now is the time where the supposed dead, killer comes back to life for one last scare. Like, I love that.
I feel like that's the most, most like them reaching towards not like spoof, but like into like some really silly shit.
Right?
Like,
it's like, a little goofy, but it makes it fun.
Yeah,
it does. It really works.
Furthest they go in that cartoony as it can go. Well, let me read a few of these comments here. I think that makes the original Scream such an interesting movie is how it takes all the classic slasher movies and pokes fun at them because the movie is definitely very serious and funny. Which that's like point. It is just like his old films where it's like based in reality. Like just think of the opening scene from this and that death scene and how like it's not glorifying violence at all. Like you feel the impact of that. So it's super serious, but it's it's like The Hills Have Eyes, but with humor like injected into it.
And I also like like once again the whole methodical approach. Like like everyone, even Freddie can't on a certain grounds. Freddie can just be an unrelenting assaulting force onslaught, but with these guys, it really is like they have to be methodical and it's like a psychological game just as much as it is a physical game with them. And there's really not many other killers where it's like they have to pick at them psychologically before they can assault them physically.
Right.
So I always love that about Scream.
Right. It's I never really thought of it that way. If Stooges walks in, no Ghostface outfit at all, and starts just trying to stab up Drew Barrymore, she might not get as far. You're wearing the mask, you're wearing the scary outfit, you've been fucking with her on the phone, she's terrorized. You know what I mean? Yeah, it is. You kind of do need to build up the fear, or it helps at least. Chill saying, I changed my mind. My favorite character is Cotton Weary. Because at the time,
he did grow up to be Sabretooth.
Yeah, he did. He was nobody, and all of a sudden, he's Sabretooth in a Wolverine movie. What in the flying fuck?
Dude, I heard he got like a $20,000 check for this movie. That's the easiest $20,000 that man ever made. Like one little scene. Like,
yeah, what the fuck? I was gonna say that's a throwaway scene. I would have gladly taken that.
That's a check.
Robbie says, "I love this. This is funny." He says, "I figure out one killer in each Scream movie when I first watch it. In this one, it was Billy. I was not fooled. Stu took me by surprise, though. I think that's kind of how it went for me. I was fooled when he got
killed. It's Billy. I don't care what they try to kill him with. I don't care. It's Billy still.
Billy had that psycho glare, bro.
They do I love that not all of you guys have seen all of these movies, because we will continue. Now that we've popped the cherry, I want to kind of chip away with it. My goal is to have all the movies done before Scream 7 comes out February of 2026. So I'll look and I'll work it out so we finish them up by then, if we're still doing this thing. But yeah, I guess my final thoughts on it, just like things in the third act that I love, the fact that they use the Halloween score and they use Halloween on TV is fucking awesome, man. It's something I didn't even fully appreciate like when this movie came out. Like I liked Halloween, but it wasn't what it is to me now. It's like, what a cool, like his Kevin Williamson's favorite movie is Halloween. That's kind of what inspired him, and more than anything else, to write this movie. The other thing is the Dewey bits. This is where we like Dewey and Gale. Up until this point, they're kind of suspects a little bit. Like you might be thinking that they're the killer, but by the end of the third act, they're icons. We're in love with Dewey. We're in love with Gale. We're shipping them. We want David Arquette and Courtney Cox to fucking hook up. Like I'm in love with them by the end of this act. And Sydney, we already mentioned it, but like just a total badass from beginning to end. And the Billy and Stu speech, their whole reveal of kind of explain. It's like 5-6 minutes long, and it could be terrible. And everybody that tries to, I won't say everybody, in every Scream movie that comes after this, there's a reveal who the killer is. And those killers kind of become crazy as they're talking about it. And Stu and Billy do that better than fucking anybody. It's by far the best reveal in the franchise. Like, not even close to any of them. But let's go around. We've ran quite a while now. I appreciate you guys in the chat and you guys on the panel. But let's rate this bad boy and get up out this bitch and end our Wes Craven tribute here during HorrorFest 2024. Kick it off for us, Stu. What do you rate it?
Man, 5 out of 5. Easy, man. It's a classic. Now and then, saved more or less the horror genre in the 90s, really brought it back to life, and launched so many careers, or sustained so many careers, and really made Craven a legend in how many decades? 3, 4, 5? It's crazy.
So like LeBron James for a second,
right?
I'll say it again. This is something I'm stealing from Robbie. He not rejuvenate. What did he do? He kind of set the tone for American 70s horror, up the violence level in the 70s with Last House on the Left and The Hills Have Eyes. He gave us he sparked creativity in American horror with Nightmare on Elm Street. He gave us one of the most creative and fun horror movies ever. And then he did this in 1996. He totally changed horror and movies forever. I'll say it again. He's the Aerosmith of horror directors, ladies and gentlemen. He did it in 3 decades. Stu, this is the point where you usually get upset.
At this point, I'm just gonna laugh and roll with it, brother. But yeah, 5 out of 5 for me.
All right, hell yeah, man. We
Easy
got a
money.
5 out of 5 from Rockin' Robbie Billows, from Two Gun Pedro, and from Sal. And what do we get from Mr. One Collection Down, my brother?
Well, I didn't want any movie to reach the heights of my movie Hellraiser. But that being said, this movie definitely is influential. If anything, it's influential. And it is from one of my guys, like Wes Craven, like I told you. Nightmare was one of my things when I was a kid. Loved it so much. To see him do this again and create this new genre, new kind of elevated horror, whatever it is. And shout out to the score.
Yeah,
we didn't talk anything about the music, Robbie. If
Yeah.
you're still in the house, you'd be proud of me. The score in this is phenomenal.
Mhm.
It totally elevates this movie. But yeah, 5 out of 5, man.
Hell yeah,
Can't complain. This movie has no faults to me. I think it brilliantly reverses structure, if that makes sense. Like, you know what I mean? The final scene could be a first scene in a lot of movies,
Right.
You know, opening and stuff like that.
Even the way it
Yeah.
flips the genre on its head. It's like you could have written a
Right.
movie and then went in and changed everything. Like, oh,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like a normal
Yeah,
movie,
you
and then you
reverse
just
it.
flip these fucking parts. Yeah, I agree, man.
And
5 out
I
of
think-
5 from
5 out of
E
5.
as well. From E, from Fable, and from Stu. What about you, Missing Link?
Well, you know, I love good impact, and this movie, it certainly was an impact. This, if 28 Days Later was the for me was the horror movie of the 2000s in terms of impact and revitalizing genre and interest in something, Scream was that of the 90s. There's many great horror movies of the 90s, but none of them had the impact or changed things up the way Scream did. Just it's it's not Quentin Tarantino, but it's almost like Quentin Tarantino. Like the script is very tight and as tight as Tarantino's, but pacing's great. The characters all pop. Just a great film, and that holds up well. Like it revitalized the slasher back in the 90s for a reason, and it's still evident today as to why that did that when you watch the film. So I'm gonna give this one a 5. It's an easy 5. You know, this is the horror franchise of the 90s.
Hell yeah, man. I don't know, man. I'm going like around a 3, 3.5. No, it's an easy 5 for me, man. One of the best movies of all time. Oh, what the fuck was I gonna say? I just thought of something. I was like, oh, that's kind of smart. Maybe I should say that. Oh fuck. I know the one big thing is this is a movie kind of like Halloween. I stay away from it. I don't want to fucking ruin this movie for myself. I want to watch it more often than I do, but I don't want to like overkill this movie. I've seen this. I guess this is what I was gonna say. I've said this about like Friday the 13th and Evil Dead. There's these movies that they are so plot light that it makes them infinitely rewatchable. And somehow this is a movie that's the opposite. It's so plot heavy. It's all about the writing and the characters and the quotes and all that, but it's still ridiculously rewatchable. Like I've probably seen this movie 30 times in my life, and I'll see it 30 more before I die. And it's like, that's hard to do when you have a movie that's all about a big fucking reveal at the end and a twist. It's like, what do you mean? Why would you watch it over and over? But I have, and I will.
You can't overcomplicate it or you'll lose your audience. Remember you said that?
Yeah.
They did exactly that.
Exactly.
And kept their audience.
That's true.
Flipped it.
It's and it made it so you could write smarter horror movies for young people. They were doing Jacob's Ladder, an interview with the vampire, but they were aimed at adults. This was saying, no, we're gonna trust the kids to be able to follow along.
Dude, just like
in a kid's tone, the voice of a child.
Yeah, that scene with Nev Campbell where she answers she's talking to him on the phone. She's like, some bimbo, goes up the stairs when she should have gone out the front door. It's embarrassing or whatever. And then he comes in the house and she does just that. Like I love that, man. It was smart, but like also, fell back on the tropes at the same time.
Right. And we didn't mention it. Like it subverted those tropes too. It sets up the rules, and then right after that, it breaks all the rules. You know what I mean? Sydney has sex and she lives. Randy's drunk as fuck, making an ass out of himself. He lives. Gail's a bitch. She lives. You know what I mean? So it sets it up, and then it subverts it all. But all right, I didn't make any slideshows, but what do we have going on next week? We go from Wes Craven to David Cronenberg. So we're doing Videodrome next week. I know my buddy Mr. Rock and Robbie Billups will be back to join us. And we get to talk about Videodrome from 1983, a movie that I've purchased after viewing only one time. Watched it. I've only seen it once in my life, and it was like a year ago. I did not grow up with it, but it blew my mind. I was like, what a badass movie that I don't even fully understand. So that's what next week is going to be, is us figuring out what the fuck Videodrome is and what it's about and what they're trying to say. So I'm looking forward to it. But Stu, you had a fantastic show with Mr. 9-Panel Grid.
Yeah, man.
Grid. He was hosting last night over there. You guys are going back and forth from Dr. Dude's fan club to 9-Panel Grid. So tell the people what you got going on.
Yeah, man. Ink and Insights. Don't see. It's because I'm on your show. It's because I'm on your show, you fucker.
There's no S in there.
Pronunciate. Ink and Insights. Every Wednesday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll be back on my channel this Wednesday coming up. So check us out. Going over new releases. It's been a fantastic week. I know you hate talking about comics, but dude,
I love it.
Absolute Batman, Precious Metal, The Ultimates. It's been a great new week for books. 3 bangers for sure. At least on my watch, but by my count. But this has been so awesome, dude. I was looking forward to this show for a good week or so, and I feel like we did this movie justice. So
hell yeah, I did too.
It's been an honor to chop it up with you guys. And can't wait to see Horror Fest to its amazing conclusion.
Hell's mother kid, yeah. What about you, Phil? We got anything special going on other than being back here next Thursday? You doing PCP movie night or anything?
No, my tour is done on PCP movie night for Horror Fest, but
he's doing the Prowler, by the way. I should mention. And Robbie, if you're in the chat, tell me what Dylan is doing. Either way, Sunday night, Dylan's horror show, they'll be doing something. But Robbie's doing the Prowler on Monday at 8 Central Daylight Time. Sorry, Fable.
No, of course, man. But catch me on my second home, man. Blood Splattered Chatter, man. I know I've been gone for a few weeks, but life happens. It's been a crazy couple of weeks. We had to cancel our Comics Carry Cancer show.
Yeah.
If you've been following my brother Nick Comic Culture, you'll know why. Much love to him. Always have him in my heart. But anyway, yeah, man. Blood Splattered Chatter Horror Fest. That's what I'm all about for the next few months, man.
Hell yeah. This is kind of interesting, actually. I asked, you guys know I talk to AI probably more than I talk to my family, but I asked AI, hey, AI, give me a modern horror movie. I told him what we were doing. I'm like, we're doing a tribute to Wes Craven. We're doing this movie, that movie, this movie. Give me a movie that is modern, that feels most inspired by Wes Craven. And it said, It Follows. And I was tempted to do that and fucking put it, you know what I mean? Kind of follow the theme. But crazy coincidence, Dylan is doing It Follows this Sunday night. That's kind of perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah. But hell yeah, man. What about you, Link? What you got going on, brother? Final words.
Something Woody from Scream. But you will catch me on more Horror Fest episodes. You'll see me here and there. I'll be there.
Hell yeah. Make sure you go check out, what did we do last week, man? We've done 2 double features 2 weeks in a row of we're trying to catch up on all these movies.
Every Sunday y'all got a double feature going on.
Let me say also, I've got Hereditary next Sunday or this Sunday coming up, but we did Oddity and Cuckoo 2 weeks ago, and then we did
Salem's Lot and VHS Beyond.
Salem's Lot, VHS Beyond. Salem's Lot, okay. VHS Beyond, fucking awesome. I put it up there with the Mortuary Collection as one of the best horror anthologies that I've ever seen. By the way, The Prowler is my boy Eli Ross' favorite horror movie. Hell yeah.
Talk about Mortuary Collection, the babysitter thing, totally freaking influenced by Scream.
Oh yeah, definitely. And Halloween, which Scream was influenced by Halloween. But yeah, definitely, dude. But all right, as we said, Videodrome on Thursday, 8 Central Time. Be there or be square. We will see you. I appreciate all you guys. And hey, if you're just tuning in right now and you missed the quiz section, go back. Go watch the quiz section. It was fun. It's all about screen quotes. Go check it out. I appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next Thursday.